imagine having this just really profound, deeply personal idea that could change someone's perspective.
Right, like a sharp observation about your community, or maybe a realization from a major life event.
Yeah, exactly. Or even a piece of family history you're just desperate to preserve. You have the spark.
But then you just hit a wall.
Right. You hit a wall.
Yeah.
You imagine watching that idea slowly die inside a notebook because, well, you don't know how to use audio editing software.
Oh, the software is terrifying if you've never used it.
It really is. You look at the steep learning curve of equalizers, the intimidating price tag of studio microphones, and the sheer mountain of technical skills required to broadcast your voice, and you just freeze.
Yeah, and the gap between having something meaningful to say and possessing the actual means to broadcast it, it's always been guarded by this massive wall of production friction.
Absolutely.
Historically, I mean, if you didn't have the technical expertise or the budget to hire someone who did, your ideas were essentially quarantined.
Well, we are dismantling that wall in today's deep dive. We're looking at a fascinating, highly practical document titled How I Made a Podcast with Claude AI and Google NotebookLM.
Which is such a great read.
It really is. And the most compelling part of this source material isn't the software itself, it's the author.
Yeah, the author makes the whole thing so relatable.
Because this wasn't written by some Silicon Valley developer trying to sell a product. It was written by David Menashe, who is a retired accountant from Bushy.
What David has documented here is a real-time exploration of how artificial intelligence is actively erasing that friction we just talked about.
Right. It's not a tech manual.
No, not at all. This text moves way beyond a simple software manual. It maps out the exact workflow of taking the raw, kind of messy spark of a human idea and transforming it into a polished piece of media.
Media that you can actually hand to someone else.
Exactly, all without needing a production team.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I think most people, when they hear about AI generating media, they instantly view it as a self-driving car.
Oh, sure. They assume the machine does everything.
Yeah. They assume you just type a generic prompt, hit enter, fall asleep in the passenger seat, and the algorithm completely takes over the creative journey from start to finish.
Which couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. Because what this source material argues so beautifully is that the technology is actually much more like a high-tech bicycle. The AI doesn't pick the destination for you. It just helps you pedal your own ideas much, much faster.
The bicycle analogy captures the dynamic perfectly. Because before the source text even delves into the specific software steps, it establishes this foundational rule for the entire process.
Oh, it is.
That the technology itself is completely hollow without a human core.
Right. The human element is non-negotiable.
Exactly. David makes a very sharp observation right at the beginning of his journey. He notes that AI tools are remarkably efficient at turning structured ideas into a listenable final product. But they are absolutely terrible at generating the soul of the idea in the first place.
Yeah, he explicitly warns against using AI as a muse. He points out that, you could easily ask a chatbot to write a script from scratch, and it would spit out something perfectly competent.
But perfectly competent is the enemy of engaging audio.
It really is. A machine cannot generate resonance.
Right. And the soul of David's 5-episode channel, which he titled Random Neuron Firings, it didn't come from a clever algorithm.
No, it came from his life.
Exactly, from deeply lived human experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's writing about a theological debate at his local synagogue. He's unpacking the nuances of a specific passage in the Torah.
And he's reflecting on the profound grief of losing his father.
Which is so heavy.
Yeah.
And AI cannot hallucinate the emotional weight of those experiences. It has no lived history to draw from.
But I imagine relying on an AI editor fundamentally changes how you approach writing those incredibly personal initial drafts, right?
Oh, it has to.
Like, if you know you have this infallible digital safety net underneath you catching your mistakes, do you become lazier as a writer? Or does it actually make you more creatively daring because you aren't paralyzed by the fear of publishing an error?
What's fascinating here is how this entirely flips our usual anxieties about artificial intelligence on their head.
How so?
Well, the prevailing fear is that AI will replace the writer's unique voice, right? Ironing out all the quirks until everything sounds like a bland corporate press release.
Yeah, the whole flattening effect.
Exactly. But David's experience reveals the exact opposite effect. He uses the paid tier of Claude Pro, which runs about £18 a month.
Pretty reasonable.
Very reasonable. And he treats it as an infinitely patient editor that never sleeps and never judges.
That's a great way to put it.
Knowing that the software will catch the typos, the grammatical slips, and the structural weaknesses actively protects his authenticity.
Well, because he doesn't have to self-edit while he's pouring his heart out.
Right. It allows him to write completely naturally, as sloppily as his brain works in the moment, without his inner critic shutting him down.
He actually shares a brilliant anecdote about how this safety net functions in practice.
Oh, the King David one.
Yes. So during the drafting phase of an episode focused on King David, he wrote a section heading that cleverly referenced a Johnny Cash song.
Which is a fun little stylistic choice.
It is, but as he kept writing, he completely forgot to actually mention the song in the body text.
It perfectly highlights the limits of human working memory.
Totally.
You have a flash of inspiration, you write the heading, the flow of your argument carries you down a different path, and you leave a factual loose end dangling.
We've all done it.
But because Claude has a massive context window, it can cross-reference the semantic meaning of the heading against the actual content of the paragraphs below it.
And it caught the missing detail instantly.
Instantly. And as David continued to feed his scripts for his 5 episodes, the AI began to build a robust memory of the project.
It started learning his style.
Exactly. It remembered his channel name, his preferred visual aesthetics, and specific details about his family history. It transitioned from a simple text generator into a well-briefed personal assistant.
So you arrive at this point where you have a perfectly polished Word document. The human soul is intact, the narrative flow is tight, and the grammar is flawless.
Sounds like you're ready to record.
Right, but I'm looking at the reality of a retired accountant sitting in his study without a microphone. How does someone bridge the massive chasm between a silent text document and a compelling spoken word audio experience?
That's where we move into the audio generation phase, which relies on a completely free tool called Google NotebookLM.
Okay.
The specific feature is known as Audio Overview. The mechanics of this are quite remarkable, actually. You upload your polished text document, and the system synthesizes a conversation between 2 AI hosts named Alex and Sam.
But they don't just read it like a robot, do they?
No, they don't simply read your text aloud like a traditional text-to-speech robot. They analyze the material and discuss it.
That is wild.
They express audible enthusiasm, they pause to process complex points, and they actively push back on each other's interpretations.
Here's where it gets really interesting. NotebookLM defaults to American voices, right?
It does.
And David decided he wanted to push the boundaries of this. Since his source material is so deeply rooted in his life in the UK, he used a separate voice cloning tool called 11 Labs to substitute those default American hosts with British ones.
Which makes logical sense on paper.
It does.
And technically speaking, the British voice clones were highly impressive. The geographical accents were accurate. But David discovered a massive drop in the quality of the engagement. He noted that the British voices felt significantly stiffer.
Really? Stiffer how?
His specific critique was that it sounded as though the host had been asked to perform rather than converse.
Oh, that's a huge distinction.
The natural rhythm of the dialogue was entirely lost. Consequently, he reverted to the American defaults, simply because they possessed a natural warmth that the British substitutes could not replicate.
Wait, let me challenge that decision, because it sounds incredibly jarring on paper.
Go for it.
Isn't there something inherently bizarre about intensely personal British memories, like the death of the author's father, or a debate at a synagogue in Bushy being enthusiastically unpacked by 2 American AI avatars?
It does sound like a mismatch.
Doesn't that create a massive cognitive dissonance for the listener?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture of human psychology and acoustics, it actually explains a fundamental truth about how we consume audio.
Okay, I'm listening.
The human ear is incredibly sensitive to the micromechanics of conversation. We are subconsciously tracking the prosody, that's the musicality of the speech, the timing of an inhaled breath, the slight overlaps when 2 people are genuinely excited by an idea.
Like what we're doing right now.
Exactly. We are hardwired to trust that natural give and take. When an audio track possesses those conversational qualities, it triggers a parasocial connection that is scientifically more engaging than audio that is geographically accurate but emotionally flat.
So our brains care far more about the pacing of a pause or a sigh than the actual accent of the speaker.
Yeah, and this raises an important question about what listeners actually value when they press play. Do we demand the literal, geographically matching voice of the author?
I guess not.
Or do we ultimately prioritize the emotional resonance of the ideas being discussed? The American voices of Alex and Sam deliver that feeling of genuine connection so effectively that the listener is able to absorb David's profound ideas without getting hung up on the delivery mechanism.
Okay, so you have this incredible audio file sitting on your desktop, but having an MP3 on your computer is essentially shouting into the void.
Yeah, no one's going to hear it there.
To actually share this with the world, modern distribution platforms like YouTube demand video. They demand clickable thumbnails, optimized metadata, and search tags.
It's a lot of packaging.
It is.
Yeah.
Historically, pulling that off requires an entire marketing and design department working in tandem.
Well, let's examine how David replicates the output of that entire department in a matter of minutes.
This part is so cool.
He enters the production studio phase, starting with the ambience. He sources free, copyright-safe background music from a platform called Pixabay.
Right.
And this step is absolutely crucial because of YouTube's Content ID system.
Which is essentially an automated copyright cop system, right?
Pretty much.
It constantly scans the audio fingerprints of everything uploaded to the platform against a massive database of protected music. If you use a copyrighted track without permission, the system instantly mutes your audio, demonetizes the video, or blocks it from being viewed entirely.
That is the exact mechanism, which is why clearing your audio is mandatory.
You can't skip it.
Though David does offer a highly relatable, self-deprecating admission in his notes. He admits that he frequently forgets to actually layer the background music into his final episodes.
That's hilarious.
He literally writes, "Do as I say, not as I do." It serves as a great reminder that even in a heavily automated AI workflow, human forgetfulness remains a very real variable.
Oh, absolutely. But the part of this packaging workflow that blew my mind is the metadata generation.
Because that's usually the worst part.
Right. Usually, creators loathe writing descriptions and tags. It is soul-crushing admin work.
It really is.
But David just feeds the finished episode text back into Claude. In roughly 30 seconds, the AI generates title options ranked by their psychological click-through appeal.
Amazing.
It writes a highly structured video description, complete with bullet points. It generates a comprehensive list of search tags. It even creates chapter timestamps and social media copy, perfectly formatted with emojis to be pasted directly into a WhatsApp or Facebook message.
He estimates that this single prompt saves him about 45 minutes of tedious work per episode.
Easily.
But where the AI truly bridges the gap between creative intent and rigid platform rules is in the visual branding. David decided he wanted a sophisticated navy and gold color scheme for his channel.
Sounds classy.
It is. He described this aesthetic to Claude, and the AI didn't just generate a generic picture. It output the exact mathematical pixel dimensions that YouTube requires for its user interface.
It created the SVG and PNG vector image files, specifically formatting an 800 by 800 pixel channel logo, a 150 by 150 pixel video watermark, and a massive 2560 by 1440 pixel banner.
The exact specs.
And it knew to align the central graphic within the safe zone so it wouldn't get cropped out when someone views the channel on a smartphone.
Which is just incredibly smart. Now, to stitch all of these disparate elements together, he uses Microsoft Clipchamp.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, which is a free, surprisingly robust video editor included with Windows. The timeline interface is incredibly simple. He drags his finalized MP3 audio onto the timeline, drops the static visual infographic that NotebookLM automatically generated over the top of it, and clicks export.
And how long does that take?
Rendering the final MP4 video takes about 5 minutes.
It is exactly like buying flat pack furniture, but the AI is simultaneously the instruction manual, the Allen key, and the person assembling the bookshelf for you in your living room.
That's a perfect analogy.
But looking at this incredibly streamlined process brings up a massive dilemma.
Which is?
If the technical barrier is virtually erased, if literally anyone, anywhere, can generate a professional-sounding podcast with visually optimized metadata in a few hours, does the sheer volume of easy content flooding these platforms make it impossible for genuinely good ideas to be found?
That's the fear, right?
Yeah, are we just going to drown in a sea of perfectly competent noise?
Well, when you completely remove production value as a gatekeeper, you achieve a true democratization of media.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
For the entire history of broadcasting, production value was the moat. You had to have thousands of dollars in equipment, a soundproof studio, and deep technical skills just to get to the starting line.
Right, the barrier to entry was massive.
But now, sounding professional is no longer a competitive advantage. It is the baseline.
Because everyone has access to the gloss no longer matters. Only the substance matter.
Exactly. The ultimate differentiator becomes entirely merit-based. It goes back to the human soul and the machine we discussed earlier.
Right, the core idea.
If your underlying ideas are derivative, shallow, or boring, no amount of perfectly synthesized AI audio or navy and gold branding will force people to engage with it.
Yeah, people just click away.
But if you have a genuinely profound thought, it will never again be held back by your inability to navigate an Adobe Premiere timeline.
Okay, so you have this perfectly packaged MP4 video sitting on your hard drive. You upload it to YouTube Studio. And David notes you can set it to unlisted first to double-check the formatting, or public when you're ready to launch.
Always good to double check.
Yeah. You paste in all the beautiful metadata Claude generated, you hit publish. But here is the harsh reality of the internet hitting publish does not guarantee an audience.
No, it certainly doesn't.
How does David actually get people to press play?
He approaches distribution with a very grounded, realistic perspective.
Yeah.
The reality of the YouTube algorithm is that it faces a cold start problem with brand new channels.
Right, the algorithm doesn't know who you are yet.
Exactly. It relies on click-through rates and watch time to know who to recommend a video to. Since a new channel has zero data, the algorithm simply ignores it. You absolutely cannot rely on the platform's automated systems to find your audience for you.
I imagine the trap for a lot of first-time creators is thinking that hitting publish is the finish line and then feeling crushed when a video gets 0 views after 3 days.
It happens constantly.
So David had to bypass the algorithm entirely to find his initial listeners.
He did. He manually built his seed audience. He took that social media copy Claude generated and pasted it directly into his synagogue's WhatsApp group.
Brilliant.
He emailed it to family members and colleagues. He also offers a crucial strategic tip here. Always share the main channel URL rather than an individual video link.
Why is that important?
This ensures that when people click, they see the entire body of work that banners the multiple episodes and immediately recognize it as a serious, cohesive project rather than a random one-off video.
Okay, we have to talk about the concept of monetization because, let's be honest, that is the primary motivation for a huge percentage of people starting a YouTube channel today. People want to build an income stream.
They do, but he addresses this head-on, pointing out that the barrier to entry for the YouTube Partner Program is incredibly steep.
What are the numbers?
You need a minimum of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 valid watch hours over the past year before you are allowed to see a single penny from ad revenue.
Wow.
So for a niche, deeply personal project like David's, the financial rewards are currently non-existent.
So what does this all mean? If the algorithm isn't actively pushing the content and there is 0 money to be made from ad revenue, why is a retired accountant spending his time generating thumbnails and refining audio files?
David introduces a beautiful philosophical perspective on why we create media. He states that the rewards of this project are spiritual, not material.
Oh, I love that.
He explicitly connects his workflow to the Jewish concept of lishma, doing something for its own sake, citing the Torah's view that virtue is its own reward.
That's incredibly refreshing.
And look at the economics of his project. NotebookLM is free, Clipchamp is free, Pixabay is free, and he only pays £18 a month for Claude.
And the actual time investment is astonishingly low. He calculates that the entire workflow from blank page to published video takes him roughly 2 to 3 hours per episode.
That's nothing compared to traditional production.
Right. And the vast majority of that time is just him sitting back with a cup of tea, doing the deeply pleasurable work of writing, reflecting, and refining his own thoughts.
The actual tech part is incredibly fast.
The technical execution prompting the audio generation, downloading the vector images, dropping files onto a timeline, and pasting the tags takes him maybe 45 minutes total.
It provides a necessary and refreshing counter-narrative to the modern hustle culture.
It really does.
We've been conditioned by social media to view content creation as a relentless grind. We are told we must constantly post to game the algorithm, go viral, build a personal brand, and monetize our attention.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
But David demonstrates the ultimate empowerment of the individual. A retired accountant simply wanted to explore ideas he cared deeply about, and he used cutting-edge, enterprise-level technology to reach the people in his immediate community who might find value in his reflections.
It proves that your knowledge, your nuanced observations, and your family stories are immensely valuable simply because they are shared. The subscriber count is totally irrelevant to the worth of the project.
Exactly.
The act of sharing the knowledge is the reward itself.
It completely redefines the parameters of who gets to be a broadcaster.
Let's do a quick definitive recap of this workflow for anyone listening who is ready to dust off their own notebook today.
Good idea.
Step 1. You must start with the human soul. You have to bring your authentic lived experiences, your grief, your joy, or your expertise to the table.
The foundational piece.
Step 2, polish that raw, messy text with an AI editor like Claude, letting it act as your tireless personal assistant to catch your mistakes.
Step 3, use Google NotebookLM to instantly synthesize the natural conversational audio of two hosts unpacking your piece.
Step 4, deploy AI to generate all your metadata, your optimized titles, your search tags, and your custom pixel-perfect branding bypassing hours of admin work.
And step 5, stitch it all together with a free video editor and share the link directly with the people you care about.
The massive wall of production friction has been entirely dismantled.
The tools are free, or very close to it, and they're available right now.
Which means we have to ask you, the listener, a very direct question. What is your random neuron firing?
Everyone has one?
What is that one defining essay, that specific observation about your industry, or that deeply held family story you've been keeping locked away simply because you didn't know how to record a podcast?
The barrier is gone.
You are holding the tools in your pocket.
Examining David's journey really makes you wonder about the long-term societal implications of this technology, specifically regarding how we preserve our history.
Where are you going with this?
Well, if AI can now instantly translate our personal fragmented written notes into highly engaging conversational audio documentaries, how will this fundamentally change the way we document our lives for future generations?
Oh, that is a wild thought to end on.
Think about it.
If you look ahead to the near future, instead of leaving behind dusty, handwritten diaries or static photo albums for our grandchildren to try and interpret, will we be leaving behind personalized, AI-generated podcast seasons about our family history?
It's entirely possible.
Will our descendants learn about our triumphs, our debates, and our greatest memories by listening to two engaging hosts unpack the story of our lives?
The underlying technology is already here to do exactly that. We just have to decide what we want to feed into the machine.
It all comes back to that initial feeling. The profound idea sitting inside you, the spark you want to share with the world. You don't need a recording studio anymore.
You don't need an editing team.
You just need to get on the bicycle and start pedaling.